Welcome to Sound the Horne Sports Show. I'm so excited to host this groundbreaking program that will broaden the Jackson sports scene's awareness regionally and nationally. My goal is to highlight sports in Jackson, the state of Mississippi, and nationally by utilizing my 25 years of Division I athletic administration knowledge, and my guests will be experienced leaders in sports. The guests on the show will share a behind-the-scenes, unique, and informative glance of the world of sports. Please join me every Monday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on digital.com. Welcome to Sound the Horne. My name is Derek Horne, and please welcome to the show our special guest, Assistant AD at Jackson State and radio personality, Rob J.
Assistant AD.
Assistant AD. That comes with a whole lot of work, don't it?
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you, Derek, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
I've been in the state for a long time and seen what you've done and what you do, and so excited to have you here today. And we're just going to have a conversation as we talked about before, and maybe get to know a little bit more about you,
yes,
but also too just share some things, great things that are going on in Jackson State. So if you would, with our guests, just share a little bit about your hometown and where you grew up, and all those little things that a lot of people.
Jackson went through Jackson. Went to tried to play baseball a little bit. Wasn't good. I met player. He recently passed with Buckle. He said, "Did you play baseball?" He said, "You tall?" I said, "Yes, sir." I cut. He said, "You couldn't hit the fastball." You're right. I said, "Mr. O'Neal, I couldn't hit the curveball, fastball." But anyway, I went to Lanier and went on to Jackson State. I thought he was supposed to go to Jackson State. See, Jackson, and I thought you go from Lanier to Jackson State. And my mother, said, "That's where you go. You gonna go to Jackson State?" I said, "Okay." So I went to Jackson State. I majored in that was my major, but I changed it to mass communications, and I started working at the station on Jackson State's campus. Ended up working at a radio station in Jackson. At that time, it was WOKJ, WJMI. It was right down the street from Jackson State. So I would go work there, and then I apply for a job. Actually, what happened, how I got into television, I was on campus. I was clowning around on campus, and then this instructor, he called me in his office. I was like, "Oh man, I thought they were gonna throw me out of school or something." So he told me to read some sports copy, and he called Channel 16, and he said, "I want you to go to Channel 16, and there's an opening. I want you to apply for this job. It's a weekend sports job." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know how to do it." He said, "No, you read really well, so go to Channel." I didn't like the news. I thought it was boring. My grandmother used to sit up and watch the news all the time. I hated it. So I didn't even know you could go to a TV station. I went to Channel 16, and I did the audition. I didn't get the job. So I started watching the news to see who had the job at Channel 16. And when I saw who had it, I was like, "Oh, I can do better than that. I know I can do better than him." And that's when I started working on it. And I said, if I ever get that chance again, I'm going to be ready for it. So I eventually started working at Channel 12 in production, running cameras and all that. So that's when I came in here, I saw your cameras. I was like, "Hey, these are nice." So yeah, so I just got to, I just like production and stuff like that. So eventually worked my way up to Channel 3.
Well, I like to hear stories, because so many times there's somebody that helps us. When we don't think they're watching, and I try to tell young people, you never know who's watching, and you don't to have a challenge where you don't have an opportunity to succeed. So that was a great part of the story that I think a lot of people need to hear. But tell me a little bit about this. What are some of your great memories that you can tell live while you were a student at Jackson State?
Let's see. While I was a student, I worked at I worked at the campus radio station, 88.5 FM, and they played jazz. It's a jazz station, and they played a little blues and played gospel on Sunday. And when we were coming up, we didn't really like jazz, and we wanted to play, all the Rick James and stuff like that, Michael Jackson, all that kind of stuff. So the station went off the air at midnight, and me and some guys said, "Hey man," because I knew how to turn it. The one that had the midnight shift had to turn the station off, and the security guard walked him out. So I said, "Man, what we gonna do at 2:00 in the morning? We're gonna go back to the station and play some Rick James and all of this." So I had at that time of albums. So and I had the key to the building because they trusted me. I was one of the main DJs. So I was like, and I had another guy, and I said, "Man, you gonna play these songs?" So at 2:00 we played Rick James and Michael Jackson and all of this. And after we did it for about 15 minutes. So I had this guy call the guy that did the DJ. I told him, I said, "Man, call that guy and pretend like you the FCC, and then he going to jail." So we just that was something wrong that we did, man. We opened up that station to play all that mess. I look back at it, I was like, man, we should have done that. We should. And the program director, she was so mad. Her name was Pat Murray, rest her soul, and because my legal name is Robert Jewett. Yeah. So she said, "Jewett, I'm going to suspend you, and I'm going to suspend him and him for you guys doing that." I was like, man, what would tell my mom? So, yeah, that was one of the things I remember the most.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you pronounced your name because I saw it, and I said, I'm not going to try and butcher it on the air. But, while you were in school as a student, what were some of some of the teams, what were some of the most memorable times that you had, maybe going to an athletic event or some of the athletes that were there when you were in school?
It was definitely football because at that time, I was there from 80 to 84. And Jackson State didn't lose a game in the conference at that time. Coach W.C. Gordon was the coach. And as a matter of fact, he was the first person I ever interviewed when I was getting into this business as a student. And he was so accommodating, man. He was very accommodating. But it was the football team. It was let me see, who was the quarterback then at that time? I think it was John McKenzie. And you had Jimmy Smith was a wide receiver who went on to the NFL. As a matter of fact, Burkett was my classmate, and he calls all the time talking about I copied off his paper. But yeah, man, Burkett was a receiver. You're exactly right, and I guess I got spoiled because I thought that was the way it was supposed to be all the time. Because I thought, because Jackson State, I don't think they lost a Swac game the whole time I was there.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like I said, I was just getting started. They were good, and I like I said, I got spoiled. I thought that was the way it was supposed to be. They had a good defense, good offense. Coach Carson was the defensive coordinator. Houston Markham was a coach, and all these guys went off to be head coaches in other places. So that's the thing. What I remember the most about was the Jackson State and the baseball team. Yeah, with Coach Bob Bradley. Yeah. They were always winning. So the basketball team wasn't so much, but I remember my instructor bringing me over to a basketball game, and he had a tape recorder, and we announced the game, and he showed me how to do it. Okay. And I really owe him that for what I'm doing now, because I don't think our students get that kind of opportunity now. So while I'm at Jackson State, I do give the kids a chance to get on the radio with me. So I take that from that instructor that I had.
And a lot of people, we know you in Jackson, and we have some people from across the country that might be listening. So just kind of tell us about some of the things that you've done as it relates to games that you've called, or some of the TV programs you might have produced. Yeah,
I worked with this company called Black College Sports, where I covered all of the 3 black colleges in Mississippi. My responsibility was to cover Alcorn, Valley, and Jackson State for Black College Sports, and that was on it was on BET at that time. BET had a show, a black college football show. So I did that, and I really enjoyed doing that. That's when was Steve McNair at Alcorn at that time? I know Fred was a quarterback, but so that was my responsibility covering them, and I also I did consultant work for ESPN for games for Black College games. Now recently, I just did a game on the NFL Network and ESPNU. It was the inaugural Black College inaugural All-Star game with all of the Black colleges. I did that game with Fred McNair. We did it together. Okay. So that was something that was really, really nice to do. So and I covered people like Shaquille O'Neal. I covered I never covered Michael Jordan, but I covered Warren Moon and all these different guys, man. And Warren Moon wasn't too friendly. He wasn't too friendly. But it's been good covering, of course, covering the Saints. Yeah. I never covered a Super Bowl because I would let the guys at the station cover it. Because the reason I didn't really want to cover Super Bowl, because if you're a local station, you don't see the game. I mean, you have to be in a holding area watching it, So I just let the other guys deal with that headache. I didn't like hassle and headaches and all that. And I covered the College World Series. I enjoyed doing that. So it's been a lot to do.
Well, one thing that I think a lot of people might have seen you in and didn't realize, they thought you might have been an Oscar-nominated actor. You had a role in The Time to Kill.
Oh my goodness!
And if you can kind of tell us about how that came about and the experience you had.
Let me tell you about that. When that movie A Time to Kill came, they filmed it in Canton, and what they did was they sent out these applications for reporters to be in the movie, and they wanted you to fill it out and send a clip of you reporting. So I sent it in, and they said, congratulations, you received this part in the movie. Okay, my part, the only part I said in there was, if you get a conviction, we ask for the gas chamber. That was my part in it. Okay, we went to Canton that morning. It was a Sunday morning, and when we went there, we waited for that scene to come up. So this guy, we were standing around at the Canton courthouse, and the guy was, everybody, all the fake reporters was standing around. So this guy had a book. He said, okay, you say this line, you say this line, and you say this line. Now, when he pointed at the second guy, I was standing there, but Howard Ballou, who works at WWT, he was standing behind me. He gave him the line I was supposed to read. So he said, okay, everybody stand by places, stand by. I said, wait, hold on. That's my line you gave him. So he said, excuse me? I said, that's my line you gave him. He said, who are you? I said, I'm Rob J. I'm supposed to read that line. So he turned to somebody. He said, who's giving out lines in this movie? And the guy said, you are, sir. He said, now, what is your problem? I said, listen, they FedExed me the script. They told me I was going to read the line. He already read his line. So he said, excuse me for a moment. So they huddled up. So I don't watch movies or nothing. I watch sports. So everybody was like, Rob J., you know who that man is? The man's name was Joel Schumacher. He's a big time movie director. And they were like, they said, Rob J., that man directed this. Somebody said, Rob J., that man directed Batman. Now, I saw Batman. Because I like comic books and stuff. Yeah. So I said, oh, man, that is it. So he said, okay, everybody, quiet. He said, okay, you can say the line, but be nice about it next time. He said, can we do this scene if it's all right with Rob J.? I'm like, oh, man. He said, okay, we're going to do this scene if it's okay with Rob J. So we did the scene, and then he said, okay, now it's time for lunch. Can we go to lunch if it's all right with Rob J.? So, man, that was my most embarrassing moment in my life. And I went to him and I apologized, man. So that's how I got that line. And I just knew they were going to cut it out. But it's in there.
No, it's in there. It's in there. And I was not living in the state of Mississippi at that time when that came out. But then I knew you, And it's so amazing how things happen. But I think people need to know a lot of behind the scenes. Now, quickly before we get ready to go to break, I had a question for you. How was it being around Samuel L. Jackson and Charles S. Dutton?
I didn't meet Charles Dutton, but I did meet Samuel Jackson. Oh, he was arrogant. Oh, my God. Yes, he was. I don't really like him to this day. he was like, you know, I went and I said, hey, you know, I'm in that movie too. And he said, everybody wants to be in the movie.
Wow.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, mister. So I really haven't been a fan of him since.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, and I've been around athletes a lot of times too, and sometimes they have two different personas. What they are on TV is not who they are.
Right.
You know, a lot of times they are truly introverts and have to put a lot of those things to the side as it relates to. And I remember playing ball myself. You're a show person. When you're off the court, you don't want to be bothered. You know, you kind of I'm truly an introvert. So for me, it puts me in a position a lot of times of just, you know, I'm comfortable in my skin. You know. At this time, we're going to go ahead and take a break. Our sponsors will roll in a few seconds. It's been great being here with Rob J, and we'll be right back in a few minutes.
SocratesGarrettENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using SocratesGarrettENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
Welcome back to the second quarter. I'm here with Rob J. We had a great first quarter. I learned a lot about Samuel L. Jackson and Warren Moon. I might not want to meet them.
LeBron James fits in that category too. Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
Not King.
King James. You don't know my history with King James?
Oh, no. Please share.
Let me tell you. You know, he came to Jackson a few years ago as part of Mo Williams' basketball team. Okay. I had an intern. I was at WLBT. I had an intern from Mississippi Valley. His name was Mike. And this guy called me and said, Rob, I want to let you know LeBron James is going to land at the airport at 6:15. I was like, no, I can't. I said, man, I can't be there because I'm on the air. And he said, but I'm just giving you a heads up. So I had my photographer, my cameraman, and his name was Carlos. I said, Los, can you go out to get the shots of LeBron James when he come in? And I said, Mike, you go with him. Mike Aldridge, he big LeBron James fan. He big LeBron. He said, oh man, he said, man, I'm gonna ask about when he got dunked on. I said, wait, calm down, Mike. I said, wait. I said, now sometimes these guys are arrogant, sometimes they're not. I said, I don't know him. He maybe not. I said, but just go out there and ask him about coming to Jackson, you know, being in Mo's camp. He said, okay, man. I said, yeah, go ahead. And then I'll come afterwards. I'll come after I get off the air. Okay, they were at the River Hills Club. So after I got off the air, I changed clothes and I jet out to the River Hills Club. I see the other sports guys in the parking lot. And I say, hey, did y'all meet? Did y'all see LeBron James? Where is he? They said, he's inside. They said, but Rob, he not, they said I won't say the word they said, but they said he's not a friendly guy. That's what they said. So, and they said, by the way, check on your intern. I said, what happened? He said, just call him. So I called Mike. I said, Mike, you all right? Mike was in tears, and he said, blank LeBron James. I said, what happened? Well, apparently, when I told Mike to ask him if I come to Jackson. So Mike asked him to come to, and they said, LeBron James gave him the Heisman Trophy. I said, what's the Heisman Trophy? He said, he did it like this. He did it like this. So Mike was not a LeBron James fan ever again, man. So he and I talked about LeBron James on the radio. I talked about how big of a jerk he was, but he was young man.
Yeah,
he was young man. But I am a fan of him now.
Yeah. I can remember I had a chance to meet Moses Malone, and he's the nicest guy. You know, I was at their practice facility when they were up there with the Bullets, and I'm just sitting there watching. He come down and sit by me and talks, and it just depends on who.
Right.
And I think at the time, back then, players were a lot more approachable.
Right.
When you have social media, you have so many people trying to take over your time. They're protective of their time.
Right.
And I think we have to kind of give them that respect to their space. Right. But then, too, sometimes you still don't need to be a jerk.
That's right.
You know, so.
Like I said,
sometimes you still don't need to be a jerk.
That's right.
You know, so.
But like I said, I just charged it to him being young. And Mo told me, Mo Williams said, man, he just didn't want to be, he didn't want to take the spotlight away from Camp. I said, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Now, there's a guy on your show called Pops. I've been trying to do some research on who's Pops.
Now, where did you find? You do a lot of good research. that's a character I developed when I first got into radio. And I'll tell you how it happened. I was working at Kixie 107, and it was late night. You know, when you first start radio, they put you on at night, and the commercial. Well, the first 30 minutes of the show, the first 30 minutes of a radio show, you're playing music, and then at the bottom of the hour, you play commercials. So that first set of music ended at 25 minutes after. So you're supposed to come back on the air with music at 30 after. So you play about 5 minutes worth of commercials. But overnight, you don't really have many commercials. So it was just, I think, one commercial played. So now it's 26 minutes after hour. I'm like, what am I going to do with these 4 minutes? So I had watched Richard Pryor Ways Up, and I just started doing that on the radio. And I did it for like 5 minutes to get to that 30-minute mark, and that's how they developed.
Have you retired, Pops? Is Pops still with us?
We still do it on Saturday.
Can you give our folks a little Pops?
Well, let me see.
Do this. Use Pops describing the LSU game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, them white folks was everywhere. White folks making all that racket. Jackson State couldn't even hit a ball down because of the white folks. But they scared them white folks real good, boy. So it's something like that. I apologize.
Well, I tell you, I think that I've heard your bit too. So, but I said, let me see if we can bring a little Pops in here to the show, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you indulging me. If you can do this, kind of share with me, how you transition from radio to TV. How did that transition kind of happen? You talked about a little earlier on the opportunities you had to kind of dabble with it, but how did it stick?
Yeah, I like I said, I started working in radio. I worked in radio for a while, even while I was at Jackson State, and then I applied for a job at I started at WJTV in production. They hired me in production, like I said, running camera and all of this. And then I left there after a year and moved to Channel 16 in 1990 as a news photographer. So I was out shooting news. I hated that because excuse me, they had to shoot murders and stuff like this, and I hated doing that. So what happened? Channel 16 developed a weekend newscast. This was in 1990. They developed a weekend newscast, and this one guy, he did news, sports, and weather. His name was Earl Phelps. He works in Louisiana now, and he did news, sports, weather. He hated sports. He didn't know anything about sports, so he would tell me, "Hey man, can you go out and do a sports story?" I said, "Okay," because remember I told you, if I get that opportunity again, I wasn't gonna mess it up. Yeah. So I looked to see how to do a story, how to put a story together, and I did. And this is my first story. It was on the Jackson State Band. So I would do a story for him every Saturday. And what happened, they hired me to do the weekend sports because he didn't like doing it. So now they had him and myself. We were the two guys on there. So that's how I got to do sports. I started doing sports, and then ultimately I left WAPT and went to Channel 3. The reason I left WAPT, it was a racist incident that happened. Myself and the sports director at the time, he was a white guy, name was Mike. We went to cover a golf event in South Jackson. I can't even tell you where that golf course is. We went to cover a golf tournament. It wasn't a tournament, it was just, we went to that golf course to interview somebody. Now this is in 1991. This white lady comes, we were going up to the clubhouse. So this white lady comes out, she said, "You can't come in here, you can't." She was just rude. So I got the tripod and the camera. I'm like, man, she hollering at somebody. She said, "You can't come in here, you can't come in here." So I'm looking around like, and she kept hollering. And I realized, oh, she's talking to me in 1991. So I said, "Who you talking to me?" And she said, "You can't come in here." I said, "What about him?" She said, "He can." So now I'm thoroughly mad. I'm very angry, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't cuss her out. So what I did was I said, "You know what? I'm going back to the station." So I was gonna leave him there, and he said, "Wait, Rob, we'll just go around the back." I said, "I'm not going around no back." I said, I'm not covering this at all." So we get in the car. I said, "You stay here with you," because I had the keys. I said, "I'm leaving." So I went to the station, went to the news director, and I said, "Mr. Curtright," that was his name. That was Mr. Curtright. Let me just tell you what happened at this golf course. So he said, "Well, we just won't do that story." I said, No. We need to do a story on what she did to me. He said, "Well, we'll just leave that alone and we'll do a story." I said, "You know what? I quit." So I quit, and then I started working the Channel 3.
Okay.
That's how it happened.
You know, and we have so many instances that pop up, and you know, I tell people a lot of times, it's so funny when you say Mississippi, you tell people you live, they be like, "Oh my God." I said, it's challenges everywhere. It's challenges everywhere, but we have to put ourselves in a position where we're comfortable, where we can be successful. Yeah. So I you know, applaud you for doing that, because you know you stood on your principles, and it's so, you know, maybe we get in 2022 where it might be a little bit better, but I'm pretty sure there's still some challenges that we still have to deal with, and just hopefully we can handle them like you handle them. One question I have for you is, you covered a lot of SWAC activities, and it's not Jackson State. What are some of your most memorable SWAC activities that you covered or you attended? Wow,
two really stand out. One was when Steve McNair broke the record at Southern, when they played Southern at Alcorn. That one. The other one was when Jackson State played in the NIT against UConn, and actually it was the exact date that JSU just played LSU. I forgot, but yeah, it was that date. So that's why I thought it was going to be some magic happening. Yeah. LSU. But I was at Stores, Connecticut. And Jackson State played UConn, and you know that was the year JSU's basketball team was so good that the SWAC got a 13 seed. But that seed was because of the way Jackson State had went through the SWAC. But they lost to Southern in the tournament finals. Southern got that seed, and that was the year Southern beat Georgia Tech. But anyway, I went to Stores, Connecticut with Jackson State. Lindsey Hunter was on that team, Godfrey Thompson, and all these guys. And they had on all of the score sheet, they had UConn versus Southwest Missouri, which was the next team, whoever played, and they just marked through it and wrote JSU to save some paper. And Jackson State beat them. They beat them in overtime. So that I remember, that stands out the most.
Yeah. You know, and that's what I always like to ask those questions, because there's so many times and places that we've been. You know, when people talk about one of the biggest games in Veteran Stadium, I was a student at Ole Miss. I drove down from Ole Miss to come watch Alcorn in Mississippi Valley play.
Yeah, I was there.
I had to park on 55 and walk.
Wow.
And I got here 2 hours early.
Wow.
You know, and that's one thing about sports. Sports finds a way to pull us together, finds us a way to really give us an opportunity to put some things behind us so we can have some enjoyable time. And I always like to ask people those memorable times.
I wasn't in the business then. I was at that game. That was
unreal.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that when we particularly serving as administrators, when I had that opportunity to serve in that role, you always want to recapture experiences like that, because that's what so many fans remember. They can't tell you a number of other things, but they can tell you where they were on that Sunday, where they were sitting,
That's right.
what the temperature was, and that's what sports does for you. So before we get ready to go to the next break, if you can kind of tell us how you shifted gears from working in the private sector to moving to work at Jackson State to oversee their communication.
Right. Yeah, it was wasn't that difficult because I knew how to do stories, I knew how to do packages, and that was what I was hired to do. But when I left LBT to go work at Jackson State, my first job there was working as a general manager of Jackson State's TV station, you know, which is its own Comcast, and we're just trying to get content and get it going, you know, and that was one of the things that happened. One job that I served as interim university communications director. That was a difficult job because you had to service the whole campus, and it's kind of like a little city. So I didn't really feel comfortable doing that. But now, Ashley brought me over to athletics, which I really, really like, and my goal now is just to promote all of the sports at Jackson State, which I really love. I like sports anyway.
Yeah.
So that's an easy transition for me to go from being a sports director at WLBT to just pretty much being a sports director at Jackson State University. So that's basically what it is. It's a long title, but that's
you know, I think what people don't realize too, and I've worked real close with PR directors for a university, and sometimes people are challenged by them, but what you're doing, you're protecting the university's brand. And sometimes people aren't that happy with it, but at the end of the day, when you're responsible for the university and its content, then you have to make sure that you do the right thing. Today's show is sponsored by earthblendcoffee.global. Use the link in the description box to place your order now. We'll be right back.
SGECOVIDsolutions.com is paving the way forward for a safer city government delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols developed internationally by top virologists and scientists using an all-natural cleaning solution, killing COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. For more information, please call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com. Let SGECOVIDsolutions.com provide innovative rapid facilities testing and world-class state-of-the-art biorisk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at sgecovidsolutions.com.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online global.
Welcome back with my good friend and fraternity brother Rob J. We're going into the third quarter. I'm finna throw him some juicy questions everybody wants to kind of have an understanding or know about. Please share a little bit with me about how you feel how Jackson State's athletic program has impacted HBCU sports.
Wow. I mean, I think it all started with the hiring of Ashley Robinson. Ashley he's an innovative guy. You know, I worked through several other athletic directors at JSU, but Ashley, I mean, and I knew him when I grew up with him actually, but when he was at Prairie View and I saw all the things he did at Prairie View, I was like, man. So when he came, and I'll tell you this, when I forgot who the athletic director that left. But
Willa Brown.
Willa Brown. So there was a lot of speculation who it was going to be. And they actually thought it was going to be the person from Mississippi Valley because the president then was from Valley. And when Ashley walked that day, Ashley walked out, I was like, oh my goodness, I never thought about him. And I was like, Jack State's in good shape now because he's an innovative guy, man. And then one of the first things he did, which just blew everybody away, was bringing in Deion Sanders. So he brought in Deion Sanders, and ever since then, man, Jack State has got a lot of recognition, and you know, it's been wonderful. I know Deion has said some stuff, you know, out of his mouth. You know, he said something that he shouldn't be saying, but he Ashley's done a great job with Jack. Jack State is. It's almost like a household word now. You know, you look at national TV and you see the JSU logo and all of this. And even the other day when Jackson State women's basketball team almost beat LSU, which almost shook up the nation. So yeah, I think it's really great.
With your connection that you have through the HBCU network, what are some of your colleagues calling you and asking you about? Or are they asking you what's the secret ingredient, or who might be reaching out to you, and what's some of those conversations you might have with them?
Yeah, and the main thing they're asking about is Deion Sanders, Coach Pride. That's what they're asking about. How is your relationship with him? They're asking about the broadcast, because we're on a Sirius XM, and I was talking to a couple of guys from Valley, guy with Texas Southern, about how can they get on Sirius XM, and I gave them the number to all of the connections that I have, because hopefully I would like to see all of the HBCUs, all of the teams in the Swac get on Sirius XM, and I think that's because of Deion Sanders. They want to be, Sirius XM contacted us, and Ashley, of course, agreed to it. So all of our games are on Sirius XM, but that's the main thing. People want their school to get more recognition like that, and I'll do what I can to help them out. No problem.
I think it's great that sometimes people use the analogy, when the tide rises, all boats rise, and I think this is a good example. I've seen over the years more attention is coming to HBCU sports. I serve as a contributor on a radio show, and they were asking me about. In fact, that went on the day after Deion signed the #1 recruit, and they were saying, "Well, Deion stole him from Florida State." I said, "No, he didn't steal him. He hadn't signed anything." I said he recruited him. And I think that's where not only will you see with Deion, but then you see with Mo Williams, and then you see what Coach Reed is doing with women's basketball. But a lot of people don't see what has happened with baseball over the years and some of the other sports that have been very successful. So I think that location is key. Being in the capital city helps, but then having a visionary leader and some people that are hungry. I think that's what I've seen from the outside looking in, and they stay hungry. And as long as they stay hungry, what Ashley said on the show the other day, said if you're not saying something and I don't hear from you, then something wrong. So it's great that he does that, because I think that people feel comfortable visiting with him and talking to him. So it's so important. Not just, I know a lot of people have probably reached out to you about that. But how is it with Prime? Do you have, working relationships with him, or do you have to go to his assistant, to his other assistant, to ask him, can you ask him a question, or how does that go?
Well, that's good. At first, at the beginning, I did. I have to go through this guy, and this guy, and this guy. I'm like, come on, man. So anyway, I do a show with him every week. Okay. Since I do a coaching show, a highlight show. Now, he doesn't sit there and go through highlights like that, but what I do, after his press conference, we sit together and we just go over the game for about 10 minutes. And man, he is super funny, because he don't stick to nothing. He don't stick to the script. He always talking about my clothes, and what I do is I always give him a gift at the end, and it's like a gag gift, to see how he reacts. The first gift I gave him, it was the Jackson State women had won the tournament, and I gave him the T-shirt from it. And when I gave it to him, it had Nike on it. Now, his JSU brand is Under Armour. He sees the Nike, he throws it out. Oh, you gave me something with Nike on it. I'm not Nike. I was like, "Cool, I didn't know which I did." So, but so he's funny, man. It's like a little comedy show. It's kind of like it's a comfortable show. And he told me, he said, "Man, I really enjoy doing that." So yeah, it's good. It's good.
Well, I grew up in the shadows of Florida State. I grew up in South Georgia, so I saw how the thing that I think about him is he talks a lot, but he also delivers. And when you can do that, it makes a big difference, because a lot of folks can talk the talk, but he's been able to walk the walk. And I think if Jackson State, Alcorn, Valley, if all those can be successful in this state, that's really going to make it better for us all. Now, you had an award that you received, or you were recognized. I should have put Hall of Famer. When a Hall of Famer comes in, you need to, I always say they're a Hall of Famer. So if you would, just kind of share with the viewers, just your, how you felt when you were bestowed that award of being inducted into the SWAC Hall of Fame.
That was the biggest honor I ever had. Dr. Walter Reed called me one day and he said, "Man, we're going to nominate you for the SWAC Hall of Fame." And I was like, "No, Dr. Reed." I said, that was my reaction, was like, I don't want to take nothing away from nobody. I don't want to take a spot. He said, no, we just, and I kind of pushed back on it because I was like, you know, like growing up in the Swac, covering the Swac, I seen so many good players, great players and coaches, and I was like, they not gonna put a broadcast in there. So he said, just send me some information on you, and I'll submit it. I didn't do it at first, and he kept calling. He said, Rob, where's the stuff? So I sent him something. So months later, I get this call from a young lady from the Swac, and she said, we just calling to let you know you've been inducted in the Swac Hall of Fame, and it was unanimous. I said, unanimous? I said, is that just for Jackson State people? They said, no, from everybody in the Swac. I said, you got to be kidding. So I didn't realize people in the Swac knew what I was doing. I just thought it was Jackson State people. So that was man, I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it, you know, being in the Hall of Fame with all these great guys, man, and coaches. So I was like, I'm just a broadcaster. I didn't know. I just didn't know.
But you know, I think, and I was at Alcorn at that time, and I voted for you.
You did?
Yeah.
I sure appreciate it. Did you really?
But I tell you, the reason that you have to realize what goes on in the field is a part of it, but the experience as well, and you contribute to the experience of what SWAC is, and you do such a great job. You and I think your friend over at the University of Texas, they call them Chatterbox.
Yeah, Chatterbox.
You know, just how personable you are. So serving as an administrator, when y'all would come to our campuses, you know, you came in, you were helpful, supportive, but then also too, you were very respectful of both sides. And I think that your work has just been, you know, has been recognized, and I think that you need to make sure that you realize you are a contributor.
Well, I really appreciate
and that people do recognize what you do. And I know a lot of times we feel like we want to just be servants, but sometimes we need to be served our recognition, and I'm just glad that you did do that. Now, you also got served by some of your folks at on campus when they surprised you. How was that feel?
Yeah, they shocked me. You saw that?
Yeah.
They shocked. I was told I was going in for an interview kind of like this, and then they just started bringing people in, and people that I work with. That was real special. I thought I was dying. These people coming up in here, but no, man, that was really special. That was a special moment. It caught me completely off guard, and to see some of the people that I work with, like Howard Ballou, Jesse Thompson, all these people that I saw, man, that was special. Yeah, that was special. Yeah. And then Kenny Stokes said he gonna name a street after me. He said, we're going to name a street after me in Jackson. I was like, oh, wait a minute now. What part of So I appreciate the effort by Councilman Stokes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think it's something that we wanted to make sure that you were well recognized on, and people know about that. And I think the thing that been so good about just the chemistry that Jackson State has right now, and we're going to make sure that we're going to share with all the other institutions as well. But being here and we're based out of Jackson, we thought it was best to go ahead and just kind of talk about some of the good things that are going on. As you take a look at your role right now, what are some of your day-to-day things that you do for Jackson State in your capacity now in the athletics department?
Well, the main thing is to promote all of the sports at Jackson State. I didn't realize how many sports.
Oh yeah, they got a bunch of them.
I mean, soccer, tennis,
bowling.
Oh my goodness, men and women basketball, men and women tennis. I didn't realize, but promoting those, and then providing play-by-play for football, basketball, and now baseball. Okay. So that's pretty much the main thing. You just promote sports and promoting athletics at Jackson State. I really enjoy doing that. I really do.
I always tell people though, when you find there was a gentleman that told me, well, it was a motivational speaker by the name of Zig Ziglar. He said, if you can make your vocation your vacation, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
And then when you find something that you really, really like, which I know you do, it makes a big difference, and it shows in how you present yourself, how you present the institution, and even when you were on TV, you know, it's like, here comes Rob J. You know, because this goes to nothing. But you have that magnetism that you pull people to the TV or to the radio. You know, I don't know about Pops now. Pops might push it back, but hey, Pops might give it that LeBron.
Give it a high control. Exactly.
Well, as we get ready to kind of wrap up the third quarter, Have you had a chance to visit with Mo? Yeah, Mo Williams.
Just briefly, when he had his press conference, I spoke with him briefly, did a little interview with him, and I know a lot of people wanted to talk to him, but I hadn't sat down and talked with him yet.
Yeah. I think we had him on our first episode, and I told him if I had eligibility, I'd come back and play for him. He basically recruited me while I was talking to him, but just the passion he has, and I think that's the passion. He was very complimentary of the staff too. He was complimentary. He said when I got there, not only was it Ashley, but it was all the other staff, all the other support staff. Everybody has a positive mindset, and I think that's key in any work environment we're in. And I think, like I said, I feel that with the right tools, he'll be successful because he's a winner.
Yeah.
It's just got to be the right situation. So that's what he's hoping for, and I'm pretty sure that's something that a lot of folks are going to see. So you have Dwayne Lewis with you now. Have you had a chance to work with Dwayne?
Yes, I have.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing. Well, sometimes you have to tell Dwayne to just shut up. I was talking to the basketball coach yesterday. We were talking about how Jackson State is going to be hard for the women to make a schedule out. And I was like, why is that? And before the coach talking, Dwayne just jumped in. Well, see what they got to do is. So I asked the coach another question. We were just talking like we're doing now. And I was, well, coach, why is it difficult? And Dwayne butted in. Well, see what I was like. You the coach, man. Let the coach talk. But no, Dwayne, he's very efficient.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about Dwayne, as soon as the game is over, he's got his story up and running.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's, so we'll work fine together.
I think it's going to be a great addition because I tell people if it shows up the next day, it's not a story, it's history.
Yeah. That's right.
So with social media and this new media, if you don't do it right as the game is over, you've lost your window of opportunity.
Yes.
Because so many other people doing it as well. Right. And I think that's where we have to just kind of be mindful in those roles. So as we get ready for the last quarter, today's show is sponsored by earthblendcoffee.global. Use the link in the description box to place your order now. We'll be right back.
New Cannabis Premium Dispensary is providing community health and wellness through CBD and Delta-8. Both CBD and Delta-8 provide an array of health benefits, aiding in appetite, sleep, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, and more. New Cannabis Premium Dispensary provides a variety of CBD and Delta-8 products, including gummies, candies, pre-rolls, pain creams, isolate drops, cartridge pens, and so much more. To learn more about New Cannabis products or to place an order, please call or text 415-465-9292 or visit us online at newcannabis.com and follow us on Instagram at newcannabisjackson.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter. We're back with the Hall of Famer, Rob J.
You got a good director back there. I don't know
We want to make sure we do it right. He got me straight. I tell you that. I get quiet.
He's a good man. I'm gonna have to steal him from you.
But it's been great having you here, and as we go into this last segment, I appreciate you again accepting my invitation. And one thing that we talked about prior to the show, I did have a chance to travel down to Baton Rouge and watch the basketball game, and we talked about it briefly, but just kind of share what you saw from start to finish with the women's basketball team and what Coach Reed is doing right now.
Well, we went down that Wednesday, and I went to practice with. I rode the bus with the team. So, one thing about this team, they were not intimidated. They were not afraid. In fact, when the selection show came up and Jackson State saw what they were going to play, and you heard Coach, I don't know if you heard Coach Reed or not, say, Kim Mulkey, we coming for you. So Kim Mulkey said she used that as bulletin board. I'm like, you don't need bulletin board material against the team from Swac. What you need bulletin board material for? But anyway, Jackson State was focused, and my hope was I didn't want them to do what Howard did, and that was not the case. They looked good. They played well. Should have won that game. And I mean, Coach Reed, she's a wonderful coach. Got a wonderful coaching staff. They treat those players so well, man. And one thing, like I said, I travel with them. They eat all the time. They kept calling me. We got food in the room. I'm like, I ain't hungry no more. But no, they were good. They talented. I've never seen, since covering the Swac and covering Jackson State, growing up in Jackson, I've never seen a team, a Jackson State team, women's team, that good. And went 18-0 in the conference. And I told Coach Reed, this is the first time I've ever seen a team that good. And she said they'll be even better next year. So we'll see.
Well, I got a question for you because you know, now, did you go see Sadie McGee's teams?
Yes.
Were there any comparison there?
Ooh, that's a real good question. Sadie McGee she always had a big team, a long team, and they suffered a few losses. But yeah, you're right. Sadie McGee had some really, really good teams back then. And then you could play physical that you can play now. So yeah, I don't know if Coach Reed team could beat the Sadie McGee team back then. Because they were kind of physical back then, but in this era now, yeah, this is a really, really good team.
Well, I tell you, this is the thing. You brought up a great point. I played in the early '80s, and I take a look at how they play now, and some of these fouls they call. I'm like, man, that's just
exactly.
I told somebody, you don't take fouls to the next game. I use all 5 of mine. I might use 2 of them in the first 2 minutes.
Exactly.
But the game has changed. The 3-point line has made a big change and how they do things. But I thought about Sadie McGee because I knew at that time Sadie McGee and Shirley Walker and was it Bibbs over at Grambling. They were formidable teams.
They sure were.
But I think right now, what I do like about what I saw with Coach Reed's team is I can see why she told Walker she was coming for her. Because the starting 5, there was no drop off on either side.
That's right.
It was just depth as you went through, but for the most part, and even the kids that came off the bench, they gave 100%. So the environment was very rowdy, but I think you knew Jackson State was there.
Yeah.
The fans came down. It was a great day, and it was real good as it relates to how you should have an environment for your kids. Because the worst thing that you can do is go into a place and you feel like you're alone.
Right.
But those kids didn't feel like they were alone.
They sure did not.
It was a great environment.
Yeah.
Now, in visiting with Coach Reed, you say maybe her best couple of attributes are?
I think she's honest. I think she's an honest coach, and she looks after her players. Now, some of the players, they get mad at her for practicing and all of this, but after this game, I think they see what Coach Reed was putting them through and how important it was, and they can trust her. Even when and I think what brought it out when Coach Reed got that technical foul in that game, when they checked her up, and the players rallied around her and said, "Man, she can stick her neck out for us like this. We got her back." I think that was the moment they realized this is a good coach. We're playing for a good coach. Yeah, I think that she's a personable person, like you say, and she knows basketball. The assistant coaches told me, man, that lady knows basketball. So yeah, I think Jackson State has a really, really good coach. And then when you talk about Moki at the press conference talking about you don't step on Superman cape and you don't mess around with Kim. I'm like, you ain't done nothing. You barely won that game. Yeah. It wasn't like you blew Jackson State out. While she back there talking all that noise, say my name, say no, you almost started crying. Yeah. So,
that 4-minute mark was just kind of the key. And but I think and I agree with you. We want our HBCUs when we get to selection, particularly, what I like is that they respected them and didn't give them a 16 seed.
Right.
They respect them for their body work. I felt they probably should have been higher than that, and it showed that how they played.
That's right.
LSU. So as they go into the selection moving forward, they have a framework to say, okay, if we look in the SWAC, okay, we need to, we might even be able to pull somebody else in. To have 2 teams that go in, so it's always good just the success you have, but leave a good impression, and I think that was something that they did not only just for Jackson State but for the SWAC as well, and women's basketball, and particularly women's basketball in the state of Mississippi.
I think the commissioner of the SWAC, he had to have been proud.
Yeah, and I
the SWAC well.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of get ready to wind down. Kind of tell me what you've seen that's been the big part of the success. I think you mentioned a little bit about that, but in the past 3 years, not only just for Jackson State Athletics, but the university as a whole.
I think with athletics, they have a really good staff with Elise Kilbert, with Ashley, Dr. Derek Scott. I mean, these people allow you to just do your job. They don't stand over you. Oh, you got 10 minutes to finish this. They just allow, and with me, I can just speak for me, and I know the other people in athletics agree with this. They respect you enough to know what you can do, and they just let you do it, and that's I love that. And with President Hudson, also they just allow you to do things that there no. What is it called? Micromanagement? Yeah, nothing like that, man. And that makes me want to do. Like you said, it's not a job. They make you want to do it and do it the right way and do it well. My wife, sitting around. You've been working on this story all night long. I'm like, I want to make sure it's done right. I want to make sure it's done right. So that's and I think with that group of people, I hope they don't ever leave, but they make Jackson State grow.
I want you to think about this. The head women's basketball coach, Merle Product. The new men's basketball coach, Merle Product.
Ain't nobody gonna live near.
The AD with the Merle.
Oh dear.
Your president's a Jackson product.
Program.
You're pulling together a real good nucleus of people. I think the best way that you can represent a place is you know the place. It's hard to represent a place when you don't know it.
That's right.
Because when you're passing through, you don't get a chance to pick up all those things, and I think that's just been a good, as an outsider looking in, when you're looking for those key ingredients of success, and I know, I tell people all the time, coaches have their idiosyncrasies, when you're an administrator, if you got thin skin, you might want to go do something else. Right. You might want to go plant daisies or something. But you just have to understand that. But I think when you have, and we'll see, because I worked at, Power 5 institutions, and I think what you have to realize is you have to give them the room to be who they are. Because when you don't give them the room to be who they are, you can't get the best out of them. And that's what I see, is a lot of my I love friends want to say. I have to validate it. It is something that is great to see happening. And in the state of Mississippi, we should want all sister schools to be successful across the board. So, as we get ready to kind of wind down, any closing remarks you have?
This is what I remember that you did, but that had me rolling. It was at the what I'm talking about. The jam event. You were speaking on behalf of all four, and somebody in the stands was heckling you from Jackson State, and you said, "When the last time you even been to a track championship game?" And then you gonna whisper at me, "You don't know who I am." You said something else, but man, I laughed. That was so funny, and I said, "Man, that's my boy."
I didn't know you was gonna bring that up.
I put that on the story.
Did you? And I joked with Jake heckling. I said, "Man, when have you been to the Celebration Bowl other than watching us?"
And you shut it down. He didn't say nothing. But no, that was I remember that, man. That was so funny. And of course, the Jackson State people were like, "You put that out there. That was funny, man." But Ms. Horne, man, I appreciate you bringing me on the show. I really, really do. I mean, you could have had anybody else. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you for accepting. I think that as we move forward, our goal is to really magnify and show people what Jackson is all about. And you're a big part of Jackson State is, and we're going to spread out to get our other sister schools involved. But I just think that if we don't toot our own horns, who else going to toot them?
You're out here pulling your director back there, your producer come up here and whoop us, man.
No, but again, thank you so much for being a part of it, and I think that as we continue working through the process of this show, I'm pretty sure we have you back, because what I want to do is make sure as this show grows and then enthusiasm in the city of Jackson grows for Jackson State, we want to make sure that we cover it the right way, and we know you'll do that. And again, this show was sponsored by earthblendcoffee.global. If you would go to the link, go to the description box and place your order. It's been a great to have you on the show, and we look forward to the next time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Welcome to Sound the Horne Sports Show. I'm so excited to host this groundbreaking program that will broaden the Jackson sports scene's awareness regionally and nationally. My goal is to highlight sports in Jackson, the state of Mississippi, and nationally by utilizing my 25 years of Division I athletic administration knowledge, and my guests will be experienced leaders in sports. The guest on the show will share a behind-the-scenes, unique, and informative glance of the world of sports. Please join me every Monday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WeBelieveDigital.com.